Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon. If you're watching this on a replay or on Nathan Oakley 1980, then smash the join button to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of appreciation to Abraham Mohammed, Adam, Adrian Quintana, Alistair Main, Blue Ridge Ranger, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Chow Young Cat, Dank, Dave Rakia Gafford, David Robinson, David Wayne Foster, Daz Studio 68, Edwin Johnson, Erwin Jennisons, Felix Hung, Fireball X, God Rockin, Henrik 86, Joshua Balsimo, Kirsten Smith, Liam Nedrick, Life Is Short, Maria Neelands, Matt, Missouri Bear, Nagara, Nathan Thompson, Naibai, Rob H, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Steve ALM, theflatearthchannel.com, The Real Gabster, Tina Baker, Tom Hawkins, Unbelievable Productions, and Windrider. So a massive shout out of appreciation to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now we are joined by a few people in Discord, together with, I think, 10th Man in G+, so I'll raise the mic on them, and you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Oh, thank you. That was
Your
fun.
sausage pizza. Yeah. Good times, man. I enjoy your channel.
Thank you. It's fun to do. I'm waiting for someone to say, why do you keep repeating the ingredients? Because they're going to spot it eventually, right? Because I always keep repeating it, no matter if it's on the barbecue or on the kitchen counter. I have a tendency to repeat what's in the recipe. And I'll say, why did you notice? And then they'll say, well, it finally hit me. You have a method of repeating. And I go, well, in the absence of writing out the recipe, I figured I better just repeat it several times, just so people don't have to rewind the actual, footage.
Sure. Well, the best instructors repeat, and find good ways to help their students memorize or at least get it stuck in their head, right?
Yeah, we had a saying in our sales training, repetition is the mother of learning.
Absolutely
Cutting
correct.
out, or is that me?
That's one of the reasons why it's worth allowing the fundies to a certain degree. Obviously, they get more and more wound up when this happens, but letting them go through their rhetoric circle jerking, us as I put it, because it means we get to repeat the demolition over and over and over again for the audience's benefit. So they get to hear why it's getting smashed and then just the same old crap reasserted.
Yeah,
righteous.
exactly.
I think that might be righteous with the wind noise.
That was excellent, man. I love that episode 1151.
Hold on. Is it you breathing down your mic, 10th?
I don't know. I didn't think I was doing anything.
Either righteous or
Let me
one of you in the Hangouts.
unplug again. Check.
I hear it too.
Yeah, it's just one of you breathing down your mic.
And is there a reason Neil is muted?
Yeah, because he was having a conversation about Corona with whoever was in the room with him, and it just when I happened to start, I connected to Discord and immediately started to hear that before I started recording. So I was like, okay, right, well, let's get him muted before I do anything. That was why.
Okay.
We just overheard him going, viruses don't behave like that. So we're like, okay.
Oh.
That's already. Well, when you're confined to your home, and people you usually talk to at a lesser frequency than you're currently doing because of the confinement, all of a sudden all the topics get hotter.
Indeed. I mean, I can take
Anyways,
a look at you. Do you want me to see if he's... I'm recording
Up to
now,
you.
so
I was
if
just
I
curious.
unmute him and hold on a second, if I unmute him and suddenly there's a load of talk, that I'll obviously, can you hear us, Neil?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah,
Was my mic on before?
It's okay. Just before I started recording, we were by coincidence listening to you discuss coronavirus with whoever was in the house with you, so I just popped you on mute.
Yeah, my wife driving me crazy with it. Well, somebody on 24/7, the guy Miggy, really feels like he has it. He's in bad shape. The doctor.
You'll have to fill in the gaps. We don't know what you're talking about, but carry on.
Yeah, so I was just telling my wife about it, and she's like, "It's funny you're saying it's fake, but now somebody over there has it and it's real." I said, "I never said that. All I'm saying is shutting down the world over a flu is."
Yeah, it sounds like there's a fairly standard dialectic between what we sometimes call normies and everyone else, if you like. The normies say it's all good, everything's as it should be, not very happy about it, but that's the way it's got to be. Stay safe, stay home. And then there's people like yourself who immediately by default labelled as a conspiratard and saying things aren't real when they are real. I don't doubt for a second that you're not denying COVID. Why would you? It's just a virus. But that's the problem. It's just a virus, and the stats are showing this. It's their own data, but yet the normies will still justify it. And you're like, no, it's not that we're saying anything's specifically fake. It's just the reaction seems unreasonable.
You notice they have everybody using hand sanitizer and everything, treating it like it's bacteria. Viruses are not alive. All the preparations they seem to be that pointed to that of like a bacteria, which is completely different than a virus.
Sure, but I just see it as the whoever's instigating this. If they're gonna tar us with a conspiratorial brush, fine. I'll label it. I'll lay it out for them. They're laughing at you. Basically, they're saying, "You spotty, smelly lot, stop touching your faces and wash a bit more." That's what they're basically saying. You dirty, great unwashed. Don't touch your faces.
Yeah, sure. We're smacking our foreheads, thinking, "Oh my gosh, man, these people will believe anything." Right? The threat.
Look, right, there's other shit for you. That's not for you, okay? Right? If you're not scared of that, and that's fine, I understand that, then there's a few other things I can just scare you with, okay? So 5G's going to get you, okay? Just accept that. If that doesn't scare you, then vaccines are going to get you. So just be scared of something. Doesn't matter what.
Now that's a perfect segment for me to chime in. You said 5G is going to get you, right? So I know this is a bit of a stretch, but 5G also stands for $5,000, right? $5,000. Now I'm using this weird example right now because I had a conversation on the COVID-19 with somebody, and I said it's just like a flu thing. It's not anything big. You got more mortality on the seasonal flu, and we have that records going back years, but we never shut down the world for that. And the very next thing out of their mouth is, "So you don't believe it's real?"
That's what I was trying to get across. Exactly. So as soon as you have any questions about this, or you're skeptical of a reaction to this, you are immediately tarred with the brush of, "You don't think it's real then?" Well, no, I'm just questioning the validity of certain aspects of it based on the information I'm being disseminated. If you were to ever actually, really verbalise how you really thought about it, they would disown you. And if I was to verbalise it on this show now, it might get my channel shut down. So obviously we've got to work within the constraints of political correctness when we say the things we're saying. But ultimately speaking, no, we're not denying that there's a COVID-19. We're not denying that it could potentially kill you. We're not denying any of that. We're definitely not denying that people have died, because there's numbers that count for it according to the stats that they give us. But based on all that, in other words, all things considered, it seems a bit over the top to close down everything. And that's a perfectly reasonable reaction. And the reaction of a lot of people, I might add.
Well, if Fauci and Bricks, the two experts on the White House panel, were in any other trade, I don't care if there were bookies at a racetrack or anything, they would be fired by their clients because they gotten everything wrong. How many people would get it? How many people would die? How fast it would do? Everything those two have said has fallen. Their models have all been wrong, just like the Globetrotter's models can't find the geometric horizon. It's the same thing. They're all models. They're all fear mongering. And so they keep putting these people up in the news for a reason. And we're just having a laugh at them back and saying, really? Oh, you said so many millions would get it. 25 million people in California, according to our governor, would get it. Really? He was so far off. He shouldn't be governor, right? It's a laughing stock back at them.
Maybe the governor didn't get that memo. You're supposed to come down with it. What are you doing?
I see all of this as just subterfuge anyway. Wherever you are, your laws have already changed. For us, we've had the royal assent given to the COVID 1984 Act. And that's it now. Know your laws. Beyond that, it's just how quick do you want to get used to the new normal being set by the normies. They're the ones setting the normal from this point on. And you could argue, oh, well, they're getting this from the media or that stat from the media or this from the paper. Well, yeah, but most of it, if not all of it, is completely inconsequential. It's how you deal with it, how you react to it. React in fear, well then, I think that's the overall purpose. But like I say, the rules and regs have already been set down. They might be deemed temporary in your particular country. Nevertheless, we are currently under a pandemic, so those rules, if temporary, are in effect. So respect the rules. You are unfortunately stuck here in the Matrix, by analogy. So, either find yourself a desert island or cope with it, because those are your choices.
You have some weird way of unpissing me off when I'm frustrated and thinking about this topic. I don't know what it is, man.
Oh, I'm glad you're laughing.
It's
a joke. It's a joke. So I keep plugging in more and more. I watched a load of his stuff over the weekend, probably why. Thrice 8 Hermes, just class. Absolutely brilliant. I ended up chatting about Thrice 8 Hermes with JLB over the weekend. So he was on Fakeologist's Discord server, and I've never actually used any other Discord server other than I think Gem Pandas and this one. And I think I went in his twice, and that's it. So it's like the third only time I've ever used a different Discord server. But I went and chatted with him, and I was talking about Thrice 8 Hermes, and he describes it as being a joke. He's got a word for it. He calls it the Honk Pill. So he goes through red and blue pills, and then he goes on to black and white pills in terms of the evolution from there on in. Gives Cypher as example as the black pill. He takes the all wonderful red pill and gets exposed to the truth. But then the truth is a bitter pill. It's like, actually, the truth is shite, and I don't want the truth anymore. It's rubbish. I want to go back. Well, that's kind of black pill. There's the antithesis of that with Neo in the same but polar opposite situation, white pill, if you want to use that by analogy. But just to give a summary, he then goes on to say, you've got a further analysis of this, which is the honk pill, which is to sit back from it all and, obviously appreciate that you're never going to necessarily change the mind of the masses, the sheeple, the normies, whatever you want to call them. That's almost impossible. They do what they do. What were they called in 1984? Proles? Yeah, proles. Well, you can't do a great deal about that. But you can laugh about it. If you actually analyse the current circumstances of what befalls us, well, they've shut the entire world down with a cold. You gotta laugh, right?
Yeah, well, that's the point. People, for whatever reason anyone wants to give it, they have a sense of reality, which you and I and anyone in one room would agree. We would all agree on whatever that reality we're talking about. Say there's a ashtray on the table, or there is a blue jay sitting on the fence in the backyard as we look through the kitchen window. Hey, there's a blue jay on the fence. Hey, there's an ashtray on the table. That's reality. We all see it. There's no argument. But then when it comes to other topics, right, the ones that we're familiar with as well, we have reality mixed with the way they think life is, per the model, per the education, per the programming, per whatever. Something is coming in to offset reality, so it's a little bit tapered or a little bit different than another guy's reality. But you can't change reality. Truth is truth, right? I mean, 2 and 2 is 4 no matter what. But sometimes when you mix things, 2 and 2 is 6 to somebody, and 2 and 2 is 7 to somebody, and this is where the arguments happen. So when someone is saying the argument about the C virus here, COVID-19, so this doctor says it can't do this, and it could only do this, and it's nothing more than a seasonal flu. And then this group says, "Oh, you better stay in." So you see how they stretch everything. So what we want is the truth. And the minute you want the truth, oh, you're a conspirator. Oh, you think everything. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's weird how that inversion works, eh? You start seeking the truth, and suddenly you're deemed a conspiracy theorist who thinks everything's a lie. Like,
right.
No, seeking truth. No, you just think everyone's lying.
I remember
Especially
when I was first. What's that, Neil?
I said, especially if you're a flat earther.
Yeah, my segue was right to that, because when I first started sharing flat Earth with friends and family, I said, "Look, I just want to know the truth. I've always had a problem with this globe models as a kid because they never answered my questions, and now that it's in the forefront and a part of some conversation going on, I'd like to have a conversation with you on it." And they're refused, not all of them, but most of them, for sure, refused to sit down, have a conversation, put the facts on the table, and let's arrive at a decision based on facts, like who told you it was round? Have they proven it was round? Is it spinning? Is it this? Is it that? All the things we do here on the show. And I couldn't get people to sit down and just discuss if it was valid or invalid. I said, "Look, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but can we have a discussion on it?" No, this is crazy. I can't believe in this day of age, you, of all people, you, who I thought was, balanced in life, or is now thinking the earth is flat. No, I will not have this discussion. I mean, I had people say that to me. It's like, what?
It's indoctrinated into you from birth so that when you get to those sorts of conversations, it is assumed by your opponent in this instance that it's fine to automatically beg the question. We already know it's a sphere, so it's unreasonable to even discuss it.
No, they're programmed well.
All right, can we talk about Jump Panda server you being on?
Sure.
I can't believe you were on Jump Panda. I wish I would have known you were there. I would have joined.
This is probably years ago.
Oh, not recently?
Not at all. No.
Oh, come on. I thought you were on there. I was like, that sounds like it would have been fun.
That was my first interaction with Discord.
Oh, okay.
Now, see, right there, I knew you meant a long time ago, but I just thought, oh, I missed an opportunity. Like it's recent. It's funny. Just the way you said the story, I knew you. Well, first of all, you were going to go on it anymore, but I knew what you meant. But I just thought he missed an event.
I go there sometimes. It's usually on the weekend.
I knew he didn't go there because Nathan has a debate show. If he wants to debate, Gem Panda knows where to go.
Yeah, but it was the weekend. Just unwind. You don't got to run the show. You can just go listen, say a thing or two here and there, and just more relaxed.
Likewise, if I specifically want somebody, I'll go to them. I'll express my desire to challenge somebody. I.e., when I'm in their comment section, is a good example. Challenge them. They might choose to remove it. They might make a video response to it. Whatever. But the point is that, that's how I say, here's me challenging you. And the same applies here. If somebody comes along and they're like, I challenge you to come to this other place so I can challenge you there. It's like, no, thanks. Because you have a desire to challenge me. You think I should run after you. That's not how it works. These people, when this happens, I'll be honest, because it's not live yet, I think you're the kind of guy that probably never got laid, because you think that you've got to go up to the girl and tell her to chase you, and she's just going to roll her eyes. And I'm kind of the same. I just think, what, you think because you have a desire in my direction, I should now chase after you? Wow, how retarded. You guys, you idiots. You know, if I have a desire in your direction, you'll know about it. You know, but because you've got a desire in my direction, suddenly I need to chase you around to some place that you need to have me at? No thanks, I'm good. Creepy.
Bunch of
I don't look at it
virgins.
that.
Same goes for rhetoric. I find it creepy. You know, he's got a little countdown timer. All the days that Nathan Oakley won't debate me on a neutral platform. And you're like, every day since that count has been running, and you saying, this is my desire for him to want to chase me. It's just creepy.
I don't look at it as a debate. I just go on like just like for a chit chat, basically. I just chit chat. That's the way I look at it. Not like about winning or losing, and just to see what, you know, other people's thoughts are, basically. And that's why, for me, going to Gen Panda is like no big deal.
Don't underestimate the power of the dark side, righteous.
I don't think it works like that. You know, it's kind of for the uninitiated or the ignorant. There's a time where you can spit out the red pill, and a few people have done it, and it doesn't change the fact that they just revert back to the useless argument. They've, you know, spat out the pill in metaphor. That's all that's really happened. But those people haven't got like some sort of really coherent argument to go back to.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that.
Well, it's like sports. You have a home and away game. And instead of coming to your channel debating you, they say, come, it's all home games.
Yeah, that's correct. It is all home game. And do I have home game advantage? Yeah, I do. That's correct. That's why I run my own show. The reason for that, surprisingly, is I went to lots of away games. And I got turned down, and I got muted, and I got 20 people talking over me, or got kicked out completely. Yeah, really frustrating when you've got an argument that you want to disseminate. Now here, I get accused of all of exactly those things. However, people do actually get to hear the argument that the opponent has. They also get to hear it smashed into oblivion at least half a dozen times in most cases as they circle the drain with the exact same argument over and over again. Hey, Chocolate.
Hey, Beth.
Good morning.
Chocolate.
Oh, hey, Beth. Didn't see you there, sorry. Good morning.
How's everybody doing?
Everyone's doing good.
Very well, mighty
Really
fine.
good.
Pretty good.
Very good.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Now, we are joined by 10th Man, Bev Try Thinking, Righteous Force, Chocolate Sane, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome one and all.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. Good morning.
Good
Vietnam.
morning. Hello, hello. Good weekend, everyone.
Wonderful.
Very good.
I lost track.
Lost track of the weekend. Me too.
I don't know what days are what anymore.
It's Monday.
It is Monday. That's correct. Whole 2 days since the last debate. Very
Yeah.
exciting.
It's tough these weekends doing without, you know. Like I end the early bird show and it's like, oh damn it, it's weekend.
I still have a show though, so I stagger the after shows on the second channel. So this show will go out tomorrow on not this show, the part of this show. So the bit that we were just talking about. This is going to sound weird timeline wise. So before we started talking, now obviously we were doing a pre-show, setting up, doing mic checks, moaning about people breathing down mics, all that kind of boring stuff. And when the live show finishes, there'll be an after show. And when that is the case for this particular Uncut and After show, it'll go out tomorrow on the Nathan Oakley channel. Link below if you're watching live. And that'll stagger till Thursday, because on Friday there's Iron Round Media and Scientism on. There's just no point trying to compete with them. So I stagger that show till Saturday, and then the Friday show to Sunday. So essentially there's still a Flat Earth debate every single day of the week, and it's new material on Saturday and Sunday on account of the fact that what we've just been discussing, nobody's heard, and what we'll discuss when this live show finishes, nobody's heard. So tomorrow, that show has got, more than 50% new material. So there's a new Flat Earth Uncut and After show every single day of the week. You just have to be subscribed to both channels.
That's true, and the shows from last Friday and all were pretty good.
Yeah, heartbreaking. I stuck them out, and I'm sure everyone's heard me moaning about this recently. There's about 100 people less for the live show and the same for the Uncut and After show. So typically this show would get about 300 people watching, maybe more sometimes, and the Uncut and After show would get 180 to 200 people watching. Now that show gets 60 to 80 people watching. Absolutely heartbreaking. If there's something really exciting going on and people actually share the show, it might tip 100. But you're like, where are the other 100 people? Everyone's on lockdown. There's a massive captive audience of bored people, and yet I'm having to fight and chunk out videos and put more out just to retain 30% less views than I had a week ago, or 5 weeks ago now. I've just been saying this for a while. Anyway, enough moaning. Shall I go on with housekeeping?
Yeah.
Any signs?
Yeah, real quick. I mean,
Go on.
Oh. Yeah, I was going to say, I haven't been able to be here as much as I'd like to be, but I've been doing a lot of prepping and trying to get squared away, honestly, because this is real, realistically speaking, right? Got to get a garden going, all sorts of stuff, canning.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been doing exactly the same thing, I've got to be honest. So outside we planted a load of stuff, and inside we planted a load of stuff, along with flowers, just for pretty sake. But yeah, planting food. In a very minor way, but at the end of the day,
you're gonna get
start somewhere.
chickens too?
Say again?
You're gonna get chickens too?
No, I can't have chickens here, but I can certainly grow food, and I don't know how, so there's never a better time to start and figure it out, right? So that's what I've been doing with my kids, teaching them how to grow food, explaining what happens.
Awesome.
Hell yeah, brother. That's great.
It's
the best way to get, or to be free, is to be able to have your own food supply.
I should know this
Everything I
stuff. My
planted died.
folks lived on a farm. After I left home, they moved to a farm. So really, I should know this stuff. But I just went there and holidayed. You know what I mean? Anyway.
Right. By the way, it's not just, the best thing is not to have food supplies. It's to know how to make food, really. Because food supplies can be rated. The knowledge you have about how to make it can't be rated. No?
Right, give a man a fish, all that sort of stuff. Right, should we move on? Housekeeping. Should be the concise and short and snappy. Any signs of physical Earth curve edge, formerly known as Earth curve?
No.
Not from Macon, Georgia.
Any
What's
signs
been the
of...
latest argument?
What's it
on
going?
dollars?
No, fill us in.
No, I'm just wondering, I don't hear a lot about it anymore, the geometrical curve these days. So maybe it's kind of died out. They just double spoke their way that they never claimed it, and now it's kind of dying off because they don't bring it up anymore.
Well, yeah.
Well, they keep saying straight is curved.
Oh God, that. Yeah.
Well, Kosho yesterday was on 24/7 trying to find out why there should be a limitation on the viewing distance of the horizon. I guess forgetting that he's got geometry that he's got to deal with in his model. Like, it's a little weird. Like, why did you forget that you have a limitation to how far your geometric horizon should be. I mean, didn't you guys used to say that your limitation was where bolts were being obstructed? What they
They
used to
never
call it the
claimed that.
curve.
They never claimed
They
that,
used to call
chocolate.
it the curve. They never claimed the curve was obstructing boats.
Yeah, no, they did, but Arwen's attempting poorly the geometric horizon hand wave.
Oh, that's too bad.
Shout out to Good Servant for hitting the super chat. Really appreciate your support. So I'll just do it on Arwen's behalf, although this is Arwen's point. We do not see the geometric horizon. What was that you said, Chocolate? We used to say what?
It used to be the curve of the Earth that would obstruct the bottom of boats and the bottom of buildings and stuff. That used to be the curve.
It still
We
does
do
that.
not.
It still does that. It's just not geometrical anymore. Right?
No, that doesn't work. That's never been a rebuttal, Arwen, but throw it out there, man. Hopefully someone will use it.
Maybe their double speaker level is not ready for that yet.
Now, the double speak level is literally to have the droid sat in front of the guards and literally tell them that you can't see and we never saw it and we don't claim it and there's no droids here. No geometric horizon, we've never seen it before. We've never claimed boats go over it. We've never claimed the Isle of Man's obstructed from it. We never qualify in feet and inches how much stuff is obscured by this physical geometric Earth curve edge we claim proves Earth's a sphere. We never claim that. That's what they're trying to do.
Well, didn't Bill Nye have that model of that boat going over a curved chocolate?
Yeah, it did look a little physical to me. I don't know. I would think that geometry that was cutting out the bottom of that boat, that was a physical thing, right?
Yeah.
Physical.
I think there's a saying that everything you ever put on the internet doesn't go away. It's always there. Someone could find it. So imagine pre Black Swan all the times if we could have a catalog of them saying it's the geometric horizon that's making the bottom of boats disappear. And then after Black Swan, no, it's not the geometric horizon.
Oh, but we can and we do. We have exactly that. We have this great, wonderful show produced fantastically called Flat Earth Debate. There's thousands of shows that you can go and see of them doing precisely that. It's amazing.
Can I rebuttal, by the way, respond to the Bill Nye boat model thing set up, right? I saw that one time. It was hilarious. But what I found the most interesting about it is that for whatever they were trying to fabricate right there, if you just looked at the size of the ship and then the curve of that model thing that it was supposedly resting on, doesn't seem like it's really up to scale.
No, it wasn't. But again,
like totally not. Like the boat's scale size compared to that geometrical physical curve that little miniature model had, then that boat would be just the size of the Netherlands or something.
It's not the scale that's the issue, though. It's the fact that they're claiming the physical geometric sphere edge obstruction of the boat as it goes over it, regardless of the scale. But yeah, you could argue the scale, but I don't think you get a win for it.
Yeah, but it was supposed to emulate how it really looked, right?
Yeah, with a physical geometric.
If that is
emulate how it would look with a physical geometric sphere edge blocking the boat.
Right.
Right.
But they did claim it was the scale, sort of, because they're trying to show you how it looks like in the real world. So if you do that, then you automatically are going to suggest it's the scale, because otherwise it's never going to look like that.
Here, there's a bigger gaffe than that. You remember Felix Baumgartner as he's stepping outside of his capsule, and they got the wide-angle lens, and all of New Mexico looks like the globe as he jumps off. Now, what about that scale?
Right. It's a fisheye lens.
Exactly.
Right.
Right, but when Neil deGrasse Tyson qualifies that example, and he's saying, oh, you're not going to see the curve of the Earth from 125,000 feet, and then he says, if you're an ant on this beach ball, you're not going to see the curve of the Earth. Well, even though obviously he's got a scaled-down version, he's saying, look, when you reify Earth into a sphere shape, the curve of the Earth curve in this example, is the physical geometric sphere edge horizon that they're saying would curve at altitude, i.e. bend into a sphere. At the same edge, that sphere edge that they like to deny or challenge us to provide one for our model that we don't have, an edge. Well, that edge is what's going to be obscuring this boat in the same example, regardless of scale.
Is that the
It's
same
funny.
Neil
I
deGrasse
showed one of
Tyson?
my friends that video, and when they showed Planet New Mexico, my friend said, "Hey, where the fuck is all the water? How is that Earth? What's going on here?" I was like, "Exactly. Look into this, my friend." He was fucked up after that. He was like, "Yeah, that's
Well,
obviously nonsense." I was like, "Exactly."
I think Neil deGrasse Tyson is the flat earther's best friend. First, he says you can't see it and it's flat, and he does that hand movement. And then he says the field goal was affected by Earth-based Coriolis. Both those
Right.
things, both those things, flat earthers love, and his own side say, "Shut up, Neil."
No. People missed the magic trick with the you can't see a curve of the Earth from 120,000 feet. And then he smacks the beach ball, and you can't see the curve of the Earth from quarter of an inch above this beach ball as he slaps it. Well, that's the magic trick. Not saying it's flat. That stuff is flat, is the bit that everyone jumps on. Well, no, you've missed the magic trick. The magic trick is to get you to reify the horizon into the edge of a sphere. He's holding the sphere, slapping a sphere, and getting you to reify the bit that Felix from Garden has been describing as being curved, the horizon, into the edge of that beach ball. So when he says you won't see the curve of the Earth from an inch above this beach ball, that means curve of the Earth is geometric horizon. That's what he's giving you. That's the magic trick.
I
Yeah,
get
but
it.
it depends.
So
It
he's saying
depends.
you can't see it, but it is there because as a side view, you can see it. That is the curve is part of the ball. So I get it. So it's not there, but you still think it's there.
Well, it means that when you have flat earthers starting to argue for seeing the horizon rising to eye level, they inadvertently are reifying the edge into something physical, giving it an edge characteristic. Well, it rises with you, it's not bending, all of these things are describing something that should have physicality. Well, their model implies a physical earth curve edge when he slaps on that beach ball. And that's the bit they want both flat earthers and globe earthers to both understand, that when we're talking about the horizon, we're talking about the edge of something. And I slap my beach ball because the Earth is a sphere. So that's the bit he wants you to take in. Let's all understand, regardless of whether we argue about whether or not the physical reified sphere edge horizon bends or not, so long as we're all on the same page that it's a physical sphere edge. That's the trick.
Now, see,
'Cause
Nathan,
even though he's saying that stuff is flat and he's pointing out how there is no curvature, he's still slapping a beach ball, still putting it as a ball in your head.
Right. Well, that's a good trick. That's a good trick.
all right. Did you not hear I was trying to say something?
Go ahead, and then I'll shout out some super chats.
All right. So, like in the pre-show, we discussed how a person could have a different viewpoint from a different angle on the same subject, and then it causes confusion. I said when I was quoting Neil deGrasse Tyson about the 125,000 foot, you can't see it. In my narrow comparison, I was comparing that to all the times before. See, the bottom of the boats are disappearing because of earth curve. Well, that's right here in front of me from the beach, right? And so now for him to say you can go this high up and not see it, I'm killing it from that angle. And then you came in with another kill shot from another angle, and Arwen has his, and of course Chalka could bring in his own. So there's so many ways that a person is thinking about somebody else's statement as they tie it to a statement from the past that it contradicts.
Fair enough. Everyone's a winner and everyone gets a medal. The globe is dead. Let's do some super chat shout outs. So shout out to Good Servant, Joshua Doyle again, and Rakia Life. So Joshua Doyle first says, "Your aces, Nathan." Oh, thank you very much indeed, Joshua Doyle. Really appreciate the super chat. And again, Joshua Doyle says, "Another $10 for Nathan just to make Larry cringe." Keep up the good work, Larry. It's getting me super chats. Thank you very much in all seriousness, though, to Joshua Doyle for both the super chats. Also, shout out to Rakia Life. He says, "Nathan, 10th Man, Choc, Arwin, and chat are ace. QE, not so much. Let's go fishing." Rakia Life. Thank you very much indeed, Dave, for the super chat. Really appreciate support.
Shout out to Rocky.
All right, Bev, what were you going to say?
Well, you were talking about the geometrical curve or something, I don't know. If you look up the definition of a horizontal, it will say it is parallel to the horizon, upon which all verticals are fixed, or so geometrically, it's a straight line. You can't have a straight line that's parallel to a curve. So it is actually a geometric straight line.
It's a matter of perspective. It's R-based straight line, and the geometrical horizon.
Yeah, but you're talking geometric, then it's
That's
horizontal, right?
But the horizon does not exclude geometrical horizon necessarily. It all depends on how you're going to use the word in the claim.
Horizontal is parallel to the horizon.
Bev's absolutely correct. He's describing it as being what it is. Horizontal, horizon. The words aren't similar for, they're similar for a reason, and that's what he's trying to detail. And geometrically, his statement is absolutely factually correct. So that's not necessarily the point I was trying to bark at. My point is that turning that geometrical description of the horizon and what it is into a physical sphere edge horizon, those are two different things.
One's fictional.
Precisely.
This brings me back to a claim on the debates. Oh, am I over talking you?
No, you're good. Go ahead, Travis. Was that Travis?
Yeah, pardon me there. So yeah, it brings me back to a claim on the debates. I think it was in the 800s somewhere. And this guy comes on, and he, for some reason, the conversation is regarding the horizon, and he starts claiming that tile is set to the horizon. So I don't know if anybody recalls that, but it was just the most absurd
virus?
shit. I'm a contractor.
Yeah, it was virus. Yeah, that was
Was
virus.
that
You said
Atom
tile?
virus?
That was virus.
Debut?
I'm a flaw guy.
I've actually got a lot of time for that guy. That virus guy's all right. I often chat with him in chat, and while he won't necessarily concede he falls into all the same baller stereotypes, he at least will give a minor nod when you point out that he's going around in a circle with something you smashed. I can't give you an example off the top of my head, but he's just slightly less fundy than the rest of them, in my humble opinion. So I actually quite like a cum virus, if I'm honest.
Slightly less.
Oh,
funny.
gee, how
would
honest
agree
of him.
with that, though. He is a little bit less funny.
A little bit.
The other ones are much more funnier.
Yeah, he genuinely seems to me like he's here because he does, and he's even said that, he's declared it, like he wants to learn. He's here because he's curious about this stuff. Obviously, he stands in our opposition, and obviously he's going to take on the traits of the ballers that surround him and their argument tactics and techniques. But that doesn't change that I think he's genuinely here to find stuff out, and he's curious about it, as opposed to just a complete knob. I think he's all right in that regard.
Yeah, unfortunately, the only thing I remember most about the guy is him saying, "You just don't want me to learn."
Is less fundy a contrast to mostly fundy?
You got a new member.
Yeah, Penguin. Thank you very much for joining. Super Chats and a new member. So thank you very much to Joshua Doyle for joining as a Penguin.
So what was he saying about a tile being in the center? Can somebody explain that to me?
Oh, yeah. The guy actually claimed that when people set tile, they set it to the horizon. Like horizontal, like tile, like on a floor is flat. Well, it's so dumb, dude. You have to stand up when you're setting tile to look out the window to see a horizon. If you have that luxury,
Then I've been doing it wrong for 35 years.
You use a spirit level.
I've been doing it wrong all my life. Jeez, I gotta fix it.
Well, what do? Do you reference the horizon, or do you carry a little magical tool called spirit level with you?
I measure my floor. I find where it's going to be the least amount of cuts. I center it, drop my line, glue up the entire floor. Well, it's VCT tile, vinyl composition tile. And then I begin to install on the line.
yeah, Nathan, the answer to your question is we just try to maintain the plane. So level isn't necessarily super important. I mean, it is overall, but in general, unless you're doing a shower or something, but in general, yeah, you're just trying to maintain that plane so those tiles all line up. Really just flat.
Now, if you're doing a mud floor, you're working with the level and skewing everything back to your floor is level.
Yeah. Or a shower floor, you're trying to aim it to the drain. Yeah, I'm just talking about in general. When you're setting tile, you're trying to line that stuff up. You're trying to maintain your plane. So we build roofs, houses, all that stuff. Yep.
How would you set tile to the horizon if the horizon is refracted?
Non-atmo day, you set tile.
This is kind of non sequitur. Can we move on from Earth curve? This is number.
Do we not want to talk about the main surveyor's plums? Brenda was admiring them the other day.
That was a good one.
That was great. One. Yeah,
Wait,
man.
what?
I'm up for talking about surveyor's plums.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, but again, like McToons had been admiring them. He'd been showing me them the other day, and claiming this is one of his proofs of R in whatever he has McToons.net.something.com R or something. So he has a set of proofs that he calls I don't know, whatever. And the main surveyor has got a video out that claims to have measured that plumb lines are not parallel. He's made a big deal out of it. It's got quite a few videos. Now, Brenda the other day had mentioned that she'd been checking his plums out, and although gone over the video or anything, she was willing to claim that it had definitely been done by this man because he's made a YouTube video. He claims to be a surveyor. So we're going to be, I'm going to go, I've actually been and looked over it, but in order to explain to people exactly what's going on, it would be helpful if other people had at least know of this claim of measuring plumb lines that are not parallel. Fantastic claim. But I mean, I think we've been over his meme. Was there one time where, I mean, you have seen we went over the meme once before.
Is this Disco Ball Surveyor or is that somebody else?
No, this is another one. This is the main surveyor.
Oh, we got another one.
Yeah, Jeff.
Well, what happened to the Disco Ball guy?
He's disappeared for a bit. He's gone. He must be off working.
I don't know who Tree Swinger is, but he's made a little meme and stuck it in Master B, I believe. So it's Brenda from the Science of Shoe and Jeff, the main surveyor. Let's compare plums.
Yeah, we had a bit of a chat.
Fruity.
Brenda. Tony had a talk with Brenda about gravity. That was for a bit. Quite a few people. DP had a go at talking. But mainly it was about, right, because I have this test of the water level. And it's I'm trying to understand what people would think, because I think it has a chance of proving shape, or I think personally it will prove that level is horizontal. Other people seem to think it might prove a curve. Other people think the latest one that we had at the weekend was there would be no difference between the test and what they would expect to see on their model. I think that was the way it was expressed. So that was what we were doing. But then in order to explain, Brenda was explaining how they can have a horizontal water line that actually curves. She went to explain that Jeff, the main surveyor, has measured plumb lines that are not parallel. So yeah, I would like to just bring that into the conversation as to get everybody thinking about it, really, as to how you can have level that is a horizontal reference frame and a horizontal line, but also have the ability to comprehend in your mind that that horizontal line curves around a ball.
So what are you asking for? Are you asking for this Jeff Main surveyor guy to establish how you have a contradiction between one of the axioms of Euclidean geometry and his assertion that plumb lines on his presupposed model of a sphere Earth are not lining up together? They're actually pointing towards the centre of a sphere.
He claims to have been able to measure this as a surveyor. Now, surveyors work, like, as you know, and these surveyors don't seem to understand this, but they work within the reference frame of reality, which is Euclidean geometry. I mean, that's the only geometry these surveyors can actually use with measuring, with optical and angles and levels and all of that. It's Euclidean geometry. Now, what Jeff doesn't seem to understand is, I think he's gone beyond the bounds of that Euclidean geometry in claiming what he's claimed, but he doesn't seem to realize that.
Right. Yeah, it's violating one of the axioms of the geometry itself, correct?
Yeah.
Right. Just going to do a quick... Joshua's spurred me on to do a couple of shout-outs to the Penguins, so just as we're here, I'm going to do that now. So first of all, as he's joined today, Joshua Doyle, thank you very much indeed for joining. Now, the people I'm going to shout out are just the people who I think have got YouTube channels, because they've got more than 100 subscribers. So Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth is a YouTuber, so look him up. He's got 284 subscribers, so check him out. Same goes for Vlad on Flat Earth. So check out Vlad. 1.2 thousand subscribers, so more than likely pumping out the material, so check him out. Vlad on Flat Earth. Good Servant, another one of my members, Penguin member, has got 362 subscribers, so big shout out to you. And Eagle, Plane and Anchor, who definitely makes videos, who's got 393 subscribers. And just so there's a couple of randoms in there that may or may not make material, big shout out to Penguin channel member Ninja Man, Rob Kiln and Dank. So big shout out to all of you who may or may not make videos. And one more, just for good measure, Agent Dubsky. So big shout out to all of you who are a member as a Penguin on the Nathan Oakley 1980 channel. Good timing with my Patreon artwork that I've made there. What do you reckon? With my woman in a gas mask. Coincidentally, the background that I have on my desktop. Might as well show that. There you go. If I've asked you guys on the panel, are these... you're all into the new slides? Because the old ones lasted about 2 years. I'm not exactly up on changing them very often, obviously.
Yeah, I like them. I do have a question though. Who's the guy with the guy sitting on the rocket? What's that about?
Oh, that's Krieger.
With the shirt open.
That's Krieger.
That?
So there's a show called Archer, and if you've ever seen Bob's Burgers, it's the same guy who does the voice of Bob. He's Archer, and he's like an independent, like secret agent company. So they're like
Right. I know Archer. Yeah.
Like freelance secret agents.
That character is from Archer.
Yeah, he's the mad professor from Archer. He's the equivalent of your German captured NASA scientist.
Okay. I know of Archer. I never really watched it like that, so I didn't know the character. I was just like, who's this on the rocket?
Well, I used that as the Emperor's New Clothes. So obviously he's stripped from the waist up, or at least got a shirt hanging off. So that implies, to the certain degree I wanted, nudity. And also, because he's a mad scientist, almost a rocket scientist type person, he's the perfect character to be my version of an emperor. So I just stuck a crown on him. Then he becomes an emperor. And what's he doing? Well, he's riding a rocket in a sky vacuum, like Slim Pickens. Awesome.
Right. Is that space-time fabric thread that you were referring to the other day?
No, we're talking about a picture of Krieger riding a rocket with the moon as a backdrop. He's like a cartoon character that I used in the thumbnail for the Emperor's New Clothes video.
No, I know. That was a cue for you to talk. I love the way you did the fabric of space-time with the Emperor's clothes. I love.
Oh yeah, that's something I must do, because that was miles better. Because I think the way it ended up getting discussed was with the childlike wonderment and pre-indoctrination, when you've got maybe 5 or 6 year olds looking at a launch going, it's coming back down, and that child is the equivalent to the child in the story of the Emperor's New Clothes that says he's not got any clothes on, and everyone goes, no, you're just too stupid to see the magical cloth. No, I can definitely see he's got no clothes on. I can definitely see the rockets pointing down now. No, that's just the spin of the earth underneath, you stupid child. So that was how it got used as an analogy. But I think you're right, 10th Man. The better analogy is the fabric of space-time. That's miles better. It's completely conceptual. It perfectly, is used in analogy with the Emperor's New Clothes. The fake material. The fake fabric.
Right. Like the conversation the other day with I think it was Globus, who we were talking to a Glober, and he was trying to establish how space-time is a real thing. And when Globus asked him, well, what color is space-time? What color is the fabric of space-time? And the guy said, well, that's ridiculous. And he said, well, why is that ridiculous? Well, because you're trying to attribute a color to something that has no physical attributes. They were like, yeah, that's the point.
Yeah, how dare you try and attribute a colour to something that's completely conceptual? That's farcical. Or in Brenda's case, how dare you ask me how much time there is in a square metre? That's ludicrous. It's conceptual. Yeah, that's our point.
Exactly. And he didn't even get it. And the response to how absurdity that you would ask me, what color is the fabric of space-time? Yet you just tried to tell us how space-time is a real thing. Now it's just stupid because we're trying to ask you what color is it. Now it's stupid.
Right, it's actually by coincidence on screen right now. So I've got, well, admittedly with a rumpus head as a weeble, but nevertheless, this is what they would show you in visual practical demonstration with a stretched out trampoline, where they'd throw a bowling ball in, and then you'd watch what is essentially I think it's the moon in this, but whatever. It would roll towards it within about a couple of seconds. But that's what they literally describe it as, a reified physical fabric when they show it you. But this is how they'll detail it in a nice graphic. That's your fabric of space-time. And there's Krieger.
Oh, man.
Hey, if I could segue for just a moment here, it's about 1:30, and we've got 4 ballers in here at least. If any of them want to say hello, welcome.
Hi, ballers.
Hi,
Or at least
ballers.
come on and talk to us about space-time being real.
Or we could just do the rest of the housekeeping questions, as we've only got one done. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
No. The stars are moving. Heavenly bodies are moving. But yeah, moving. They are changing their angle in relation to the observers. That's about it. So yeah, light is moving or something.
None of the ballers are going to tell us how we're moving.
What do you think the colour of
Rotating.
air is, or oxygen is? Or a magnetic field, what colour's that? Or
look
electric
who's
field,
back.
what colour's that?
What color is space-time?
Yeah, so what colour's oxygen? What colour's an electric field?
That's not
What colour's
space-time.
magnetic?
That's a false equivalence.
What color is space-time, though?
What kind of space-time was the question?
Yeah, that's my point. It's a stupid question. Just like, otherwise I'm going to ask you what colour glass is, or oxygen, or water vapour.
Well, why is it a stupid question, though, Rumpus? To ask what color space-time is. Why is that stupid?
Tell me what the colour of electric field is.
Actually, there's a football field here sponsored by electric company. So
Yes, they're being extra stupid. What's the colour of an electric
But we're
field?
talking about space-time, Rumpus. Why is it a stupid question to ask what color
Just
space-time
one of
is?
you's got to concede. Look, just have
Other
some
things
humility.
exist that don't
Concede,
have
he's
colour.
right. He's got a
We
fair
could prove an
point.
electric
Other
field.
things
Hold on, I'm
exist that
backing
don't
you.
have colour, but
I'm
are
backing
real.
you up. Yeah, I'm backing you up, Rumpus. I'm saying one of them's got to have some humility and concede you're right.
Good.
Well, I could hold a glass of water and I could feel air, but space time?
Can you feel an electric field?
He's asking about colour,
We're
10th
talking
man.
space-time.
One of you's got to do it or I've got to do it on your behalf. I don't mind.
What
He's right.
colour is an electric field?
It doesn't have a colour. Let's just answer him. No, it doesn't have a colour.
Exactly.
I'll say.
Hold
I'll
on,
say.
no,
I'll
guys,
say,
you've had your
yeah,
chance.
he is.
Stop.
Jesus
Stop. Now I'm going to
Christ.
talk to Rumpus. Stop rumpusing the G plus panel, please. Rumpus, you are correct. An electric field wouldn't have any colour, and likewise it would be a false analogy to draw space-time with a colour. It's a reasonable analogy. I concede you are correct. It's false. It's not a reasonable comparison. Now, can you answer me something? How much time is in a cubic metre?
Understand what dimensions mean.
How much time is there in a cubic metre? Go.
Okay, I'll explain what dimensions are.
No, I just need to know how much time, specifically time, that conceptual stuff called time, how much of it there is in a cubic metre. That's my question. I don't want you to qualify dimensions. I don't need that. I just need the time bit, the conceptual bit. That's the bit I need.
I will
Okay,
answer
go.
the question, but
Go
I
then,
need to
go.
spend 10 seconds explaining what the situation is. So, for instance, if I asked you how far you were up from the ground as one of the dimensions, or to the left of a position, how much you are up or doesn't affect how left you are. Those are different dimensions, so they don't affect one another. You can have a completely separate x coordinate to y coordinate. They don't affect one another. Similarly with time and space, it's another dimension. So time is not in the spatial dimensions.
Oh, really? That's wrong. It's in you. Sorry, not in the spatial dimension. According to Einstein, it's length, breadth, depth, and time as pseudo-Riemannian four space. They're all used together.
In 4 dimensions. And just
Yeah, so we don't have 4 dimensions. We don't have this fourth dimension. My question still stands. How much time in a cubic metre? That was 20 seconds. You haven't got to the answer. You said you'd answer. You lied.
none, because it's a very stupid question.
No, it's not. In Einsteinian pseudo-Riemannian four space, he specifically describes it in those categories as those 4 connected dimensions of length, breadth, depth, and time. Now, this is a geometry. They are absolutely connected in Einsteinian bullshit, but in reality, time's just a concept, and space-time, you're not going to tell me how much time there is in a cubic metre because it's farcical. This fourth dimension doesn't exist. Time is merely a concept, and it is that which doesn't exist, and you can't attribute how much there is in a cubic metre because it's nonsensical and only conceptual. We don't have space-time. You can't bend it. It's not real. It's not a fabric.
Is length connected to width?
No, we're talking about time. Now I realise that you're going to flip between Euclidean and pseudo-Riemannian four space like they're interchangeable, and they're not.
Length and width are different dimensions.
No, there he goes again. Time, not length and breadth. Specifically the bit that's pseudo, because length, breadth and depth we can definitely qualify in reality. The time bit, however, is merely conceptual.
But the depth, you can have a...
Oh, back to the depth. Time. Fourth time I've said it to him.
There's no length and width, is there?
No, we're talking about space-time. The fake bullshit medium made up by Einstein that's not a fabric and doesn't exist, can't attribute a colour, and you can't tell me how much there is in a cubic metre. So we're not talking about length and breadth for the 5th time.
There's no length and breadth, is there?
No, time, you're going to get removed. I'm not going to get circle jerked for 6 occasions by Rumpus. You can piss off. Any other ballers want to contribute to the housekeeping questions, you're more than welcome. That was in response to any evidence that you can have axial rotation of the Earth-based variety, and we're into talking about length, breadth, depth, and pseudo-Riemannian four space-time. No, mate, no. Time is definitely not length and breadth, as you kept equivocating with. So 6 times is too many. Moving on.
How much axial rotation is there in a cubic meter?
Any evidence of axial rotation? Because that didn't even get answered by Rumpus.
No.
No,
Oh.
not Earth base.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Over there.
No, but I was going to ask Rumpus this. How
Hold on.
does
Oh, wait.
mass...
Wait.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
What's it? How does mass speed up
He
or
stuck
slow
himself on
down
server mute.
events?
Forget it. Sorry. Go ahead. It's just so that you're aware of what the situation is. Oh, no, it's off server mute now.
Okay. How does mass speed up or slow down events?
So I just didn't quite hear that properly because I was having to flip between this and the. If you like, repeat your question, please. Could you repeat your question, please?
How does mass speed up or slow down events?
Well, because mass changes the shape of space-time, and therefore the time for doing the same thing changes. And we've established this experimentally.
So how does a mathematical wait a minute. How does a mathematical construct, which is length, breadth, and width, and time, which is a concept, how does that? I mean, you still haven't explained how that speeds up and slows down events. Length, breadth, and width is mathematical concepts. Time is a concept. How does that speed up and slow down events?
Time is a dimension just like length, breadth, and width. It's no different. Well, different way. You can only travel forwards in time, but it's still another dimension. It's a fourth dimension. Right, but so the mass changes the fabric of space-time, which means that therefore moving along this dimension has changed how much you can move along traveling in a straight line. So if I'm moving along at a certain speed and then I change the shape of the thing that I'm going over, I'm having to travel further than I was before. So in the 3 dimensions that we live in, although you might be traveling at the same speed in the 4th dimensions, it's like if you're in flatland when you only had 2 dimensions. Let's imagine you could only perceive 2 dimensions. You were living in a flatland and you lived on the floor, and then you couldn't cope with understanding the 3rd dimension.
Can I stop you for a second? It should be a real simple question. And so far,
well, I did give you an
everything
answer.
You're saying is gibberish.
I told you that. Okay, well, it's a difficult concept. I mean, you've asked a good question, and it's a tricky question. But there is an answer, and that's the fact that space-time, the shape of it, is altered by mass. Mass and energy change the shape of it, which means that going from A to B seems to take longer than it did before.
Sorry, that's not an explanation. That's just a declaration of his fundamentalist religious assertion. He hasn't explained a damn thing. He's just reasserted it as a fundamentalist religious belief.
And I've also said that length, width, and breadth is mathematical concepts, and so is time. And I asked, how does a concept, which is a mathematical construct, cause things to speed up and slow down? It should be a real simple explanation. Either it doesn't or it does. And if it does, how does that occur? You don't have to get long-winded. It should be a simple explanation.
Right. Well, he's not explaining how.
Hold on,
He's just describing.
Arwin, let him respond, please.
It's like if you were traveling across the floor across your floor in your living room, and then I dug a hole in the middle of your floor and you had to dip into the middle of the floor to get out the other side. You've taken longer, even though you're going at the same speed, to get from one side of your carpet to the other. There's this extra dimension there that you therefore have to travel through. Therefore, you take longer. Therefore, time seems to take longer if you have to go through this dip.
Oh, well, that dip is
quite
real,
complicated.
because I can dig a hole and go into that dip. But space,
yeah, but it takes you longer.
Or length, width, and breadth
from one side.
Rumpus, he didn't interrupt you. Hold on, Paul. He's got about 3 or 4 words out.
Okay.
I said if I dig a hole and it takes me longer to go down the hole and back up the hole, that is a real thing. Okay, I'm asking how a mathematical construct or mathematical concept like length, width, and depth and time
real.
Cause things to be in. A hole is a real thing.
It's a real thing.
He's talking through you again, Paul. Paul, before you get to the end of your conclusion, he's decided to use the religious fundamentalist mute button on you and talk through you with chanting, it's real, it's real. Okay, show it me. The fabric of space-time, I'd like to touch it, hold it, and feel it. In some way, qualify it. Show it me, please. If it's physical and a fabric, I'd like to see it. Go.
Can you touch an electric field?
Don't ask me what I can do. Show me space-time, the fabric thereof, now.
I'm showing you the
No, you're asking me what something else does. That's not showing me anything, you dipshit.
I'm demonstrating.
No, you're not. You're asking me about something different. Show me space-time. That's not asking me something about something else, so you can draw a false
Nathan,
equivalence.
There are lots of things you...
Don't shout down your mic at me. You're distorting. Triggered Fundy.
There are lots of things you believe to be true that you can't touch.
I couldn't care less what you think I believe about. I'm asking you to show me space-time. 5th time.
Show me an electric field.
No, don't ask me to show you something, you fundy religious zealot. You've just told me, shouting through Paul's example, because you're a religious tard, and you needed to mute his example. It's real, it's real, it's real. That's what you did for him. Show it me if it's real. Space time.
Show me the electric...
No, don't ask me to show something. I've just not shouted through someone else that it's real.
Prove
you have.
To me an electric field.
I'll have to remove you. I'll have to remove you. You're a coward. You fundy muted him with the words, it's real, over and over again, you complete coward. Now you're going to back that it's real by showing it.
Show me an...
Don't ask me to show you something, you fundy zealot.
Yeah, but you believe...
You said it's real, didn't you?
Do you believe in...
No, don't ask me what I believe, you fundy zealot lying piece of crap. You said it was real. You talked through him using your fundy mute button.
It's the same.
Oh, now he's going to eat his mic. Got to shut you up, haven't I, Rumpus? Because you're eating your mic, you're losing control.
Field, Nathan. It's the same as electric field. And
it's not an electric field. Space-time is not an electric field. That's a false equivalence fallacy.
It's the same.
No, it's not the same. Electric field is a field around something electric. Space-time is a fabric of convention. It's a concept. It's not real. You can't show it me.
I can't show you electric field either.
You can't show me the effects of an electric field. You can't show me electricity and then put a camera on it that can show it and make it visible. Yeah, you can do all of those things with electricity. This is a false equivalence. You can't show me the fabric of space-time. I'm not asking you to show me electricity fields. I'm asking you to show me something you've blarted through Paul is real over and over again. And now you're drawing false equivalence. It's not real or you'd show it me.
I can't show you electric fields either.
I'm not asking whether you can show me an electric field. You've just told me it's real, it's real, it's real through Paul. So you fundy mute him with a religious assertion about something being real and you can't show it.
Same. The visibility of
Bye-bye, you're not listening to me anymore. You've just decided to just talk rhetoric through every word. You're not listening, you're not having a conversation. This isn't a debate anymore because Rumpus isn't listening. He declared, I'm going to summarise, please don't interrupt me, G+. He just declared, through Paul, whilst being asked a question, that it's real talking about space-time. It's real talking about space-time. I stopped him and told him to stop religious fundy muting Paul with his declaration that space-time is real over and over again, because it's just chanting religious rhetoric. Then I asked him to back that which he'd interrupted Paul. It was so important to make sure the audience knows that it's real. But then when I asked him to actually qualify it as being physical and real, he cannot show it me. So he draws false equivalence over and over again with electricity and whether or not he can show me that. No, mate. I'm asking you to show me something you've declared as real, which is space-time. And you can't. Pseudo-Ramonian for space. Fake, sham, not real, can't be shown, not physical, not actual, conceptual. Rumpus is a liar when he declares over and over again, it's real because it's not real. He's lying to you and has to obfuscate and talk through me while I point this out. Now, he feels it's perfectly acceptable to talk through Paul with declarations of realness being attributable to space-time. It isn't, because as soon as I challenge him on that, what he's chanting through Paul's demolition of his religious belief of pseudo-space-time, he can't show it to be real. He'll chant it through someone else to mute them, though, but he can't back his bullshit. It is not real. It is conceptual. Space-time isn't real. Rumpus has chanted it to my audience so that they think this conceptual medium, reified in their globe religion, is real when it isn't. So no, Rumpus, you're just wrong. You fundy liar. Come here to deceive my audience, telling them that something's real through my other guests, and then not actually showing it to be real? Telling me you can't show me electricity fields. Well, no, you can't show me space-time as a medium. You can't show me it as a fabric. You can't show that it's real. Like you were declaring through Paul. Now that we've got that out of the way, you fundy zealot with your globe belief that isn't real and can't be shown, we'll let Paul make his point. Now I've had my time to thunder through your obfuscation of the truth. We're dealing in truth here. Truth about conceptual mediums is they are not real. Rumpus is here to lie. Because he's a globe believer with a religion, and he needs to lie to anybody who's got an audience that space-time a concept is real. Now, hopefully Paul hasn't been filibustered out of his point completely. Feel free to carry on, Paul. Sorry to make such a disturbance off the back of your interruption with a declaration that space-time is real by Rumpus. It isn't. I just wanted to clarify that for my audience, because he's a liar.
Well, it's actually funny that he used a real thing to try to illustrate a conceptual thing. You know what I mean? So, but how does something real like me going down in a hole take a little longer because it's not covered over, something real to something that still doesn't explain how a conceptual concept of mathematics do anything. Math cannot do anything. Mathematical concepts can't do anything. But it seems like this mathematical construct can speed up and slow down events. But I still don't understand. Still don't get it. I mean, why does it take so long to express a concept? It should be pretty simple. Most concepts and most things that can be explained are explained very simply.
Yeah, he said it's very, very, very complicated. Not just complicated, complete bullshit. He's going to reify something that's not physical. That would be bending space into something physical. It's not. It's not a fabric. It's conceptual, it's mathematical, and you're absolutely right. Mathematics is abstractions. Physics deals with reality. It's dealing with the physical. That's physics. Mathematical abstractions and musings from people like Einstein about pseudo space-time, they're not real, and they're not going to cause anything to do anything ever. In the same way the conceptual bending of space-time won't cause a force, because it's conceptual, and it won't bend any fabric that, it's real, it's real! No, it's not real. But you chanting that shit through my other guests' declarations of actual fact about mathematical abstractions aren't causing things, that'll get obfuscated by liars like Rumpus, declarations of it's real, it's real. No, it's conceptual. You're a liar, Rumpus. Flat out liar. Lying to me, lying to my audience, lying through Paul's truth. You're all being taken in by liars. Not us, flat earthers, you globeheads.
That was a great question, though.
Hey, Nathan. Hey, everybody.
Hey, Brian. I've been telling a lot of people about you recently, Brian. Explaining what you...
Thank you, Nathan.
Well, when you told us about the checkpoints and how the Irish are dealing with it generally, from your perception, of course, and seeing a few things about the Irish going to courts about the temporary government's actions unjustified in their opinion. That's now on the court table, so to speak. And you think, shout out to the Irish. They know how to do this stuff, man. Admittedly, as a direct result, you've got more controls in place than we have in, at least in my neck of the woods. I can only go by what I see. But that's for a reason, right? You guys are savvy. You know what you're doing. You know what you want. You know what's right and wrong. You want to get back to normal, get down the pub, right?
Yeah, people just aren't taking it serious. You know, it's like because it's not showing itself to be serious, so people aren't taking it serious. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of a thing. It's like people will try to take it serious. They'll try and pretend up to a point, but they just can't. You know, just can't do it. You can see it happening. People are hanging out together. I just saw last week 15 or 20 people hanging out, and they weren't all related, and even some of them were foreign from different places. Some of them look Spanish, and all hanging out in one place randomly out at the coast in a public area. So, you know, people are just bit by bit just like they'll go along with it up to a point, but like we don't really take it all that serious because it's not. That's the truth. The court thing I don't know about because I haven't been following it. I'll be honest, I don't know about that part. But I totally take it that that's true. But you won't be saying it if it wasn't. But no, just not taking it all serious. But if you start going against it too hard, then you will bring a big backlash upon yourself. You just have to kind of gradually kind of chip away at it, and before you know, it'll be nothing. You know, that's it, isn't it? Freedom's important.
Absolutely. As is sunshine.
Hey, I was going to answer the question that Paul was asking Rumpus there. so people can actually get an answer for it. Because Rumpus didn't answer that question.
Now I've kicked him out.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. I was going to answer the question that Rumpus didn't answer.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, because Rumpus didn't answer. I don't know. Maybe he was hiding it, or maybe he didn't know. The reason that we're supposed to move faster as we change our altitude in accordance with Einstein's theory of general relativity is that we're getting closer to the speed of light. So we're moving faster because we're getting closer to the speed of light. That's one of the analogies I read about it was if you were on a very high tower and you held a ball above that high tower for 3 seconds and then dropped it, it would have moved further in time for that 3 seconds it was held than for the time it took it to fall. As in, it was slowing down in time as it was falling because it was getting further away from the speed of light. But we all know the speed of light is based on Kepler's dodgy Earth analemma nonsense. That's based on an amalgamation of an analemma from well before him that had nothing to do with the globe and the Copernican model. The speed of light is all based on, it's all nonsense. The whole thing is nonsense. So there is no space-time because it's all based on the speed of light, which is a heap of nonsense.
Well, but even in that, I mean, if you're saying speed, moving close to the speed of the light causes events to speed up and slow down, it still doesn't make sense. That doesn't explain anything. You're just saying that, oh, I'm moving faster at the speed of light, but how does that increase and slow down events or events? It still doesn't explain anything.
And with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making this live show possible. If you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. As I say, if you're watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed. I think I did actually miss a few super chats, so I might actually go back in and let's just see if I did. I think I did. Yes, indeed I did. So, Rakia Life. Crap, Paul cost me the money. Paul is ace also. We still didn't make the list. Thank you very much indeed to Rakia Life for the super chat. Also, NZ, who simply gives me money. So thank you very much indeed to NZ for smashing the super chat. And then joining and a third hat trick of super chats from Joshua Doyle. So thank you very much indeed to Joshua Doyle also for smashing the super chat. I'm just scrolling up to see if I can find it to read it out before we run out of time. Will he find it? No, he won't. Too far up in the chat. There we go. I know you don't block for cash, but will you mute Larry Lellenthorley, or however you say his name, for 5 minutes? He's being a total fundy and needs a little wrench work, in my honest opinion. I haven't been watching the chat that closely, I'm afraid, Joshua Deal, but thank you very much for paying me for super chats. If he's out of line, he'd get timed out. I haven't been watching to know if he is or he isn't. But once again, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discords and G Plus panels for making this live show possible. Stay tuned if you're watching on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
From the ground.
That was an outstanding.
What, Neil?
I said that was a really good question, and I was wondering about the hole that he put in the carpet. You can go to that hole. You can feel that hole. We can touch that hole. It's
right.
It's funny how he started that out with, "Oh, it's so stupid to ask what color space-time is," but yeah, he tried to attribute a shape to it.
No,
because that's better.
No, but he didn't do anything. That's the problem, you know. Paul asked him a causal question, and then he proceeded to constantly give metaphorical descriptions, not actually pointing at the actual causal question. But his descriptions were very eloquent. He did that sort of right. That's kind of what I got to learn about it too. The problem is the space-time bending in itself is also kind of an effect, like the little g gravity, the concept, right? So it doesn't actually cause anything. It's just apparently there virtually through the conjuring of the model. So there is no, it doesn't do anything. It's just described as happening. That's the only thing that exists about it. This is very baffling to me.
No, it's just mathematical. So, yeah, it's not gonna. We're not dealing with physics. We're dealing with mathematics. Abstractions, Arwin. So to say, well, that makes no sense. It's baffling that it doesn't exist. Well, no, not at all. It's an abstraction. It's a mathematical description.
Make it simple. Math cannot cause anything.
Yeah, to
Right.
answer your question, just
Right, but
the
as
question
a
Paul,
pseudoscience physics concept, because that is what it's sort of representing, it also with it from that perspective technically doesn't cause anything. It's just something that happens and you can describe it. That's what it's supposed to represent. It's very odd.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, also,
hold on, Paul. Hold on. Yeah, exactly, Owen. A description. So to describe, to verbalize, to reify is to turn that which has been described or conceptualized as being physical. Precisely what Rumpus did. It's real. It's real. No, it's not. It's conceptual. It's an outrage. It's a lie. No, it isn't real.
well, and just to say, there's no true evidence. They've only got this one satellite that supposedly shows that the causal events are occurring, slowing up and speeding down. That's all they have. The so-called airplanes that go in opposite direction is not valid. So really, they've only got one so-called piece of evidence to show that even that moving, speeding up, or slowing down of events is even occurring. It's just a mathematical presupposition. That's all it is.
Exactly. And it frustrates me that they're not held accountable. People like Rumpus, he's lied. And we've pointed out how he's lied. And he's constantly, in a circle, over and over again, 5 or 6 times, I forget, reasserted a false equivalence with something else. And then asked me to justify it, reverse the burden of proof. In other words, thrashed his way through fallacy. Not been held accountable for his complete and total either ignorance or deceit. Ignorance of the fact that this concept is not real, or deceitful by declaring that it is. It isn't. So he's either a liar or totally ignorant. But is he going to be held accountable? No. He'll reverse the burden of proof. He'll utilise fallacy. That's all he'll do. Over and 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 over until I stop the conversation and kick him out.
Playing chess with a pigeon.
With saying, sorry, 1 second. Einstein is attributed with saying that if you don't know something, if you can't explain something simply, I don't know whether he said this enough, but they say he did. If you can't explain something simply, you don't know it well enough. Now, Rumpus wasn't able to explain it, only in any kind of ad hoc, complicated way, regardless of it being a concept.
Exactly.
So he doesn't know it.
He can't explain it.
Sorry.
He can waffle around false equivalence, but when Paul's explaining how it's conceptual, he'll chant over the top of him, it's real, it's real, it's real, it's real. And then I say, show it me then. Well, can I show you electricity? I'm not talking about electricity. I'm talking about the fabric that you just described as being real. Show me that. Well, you can't see air. I'm not asking about air. I'm asking false equivalence over and over and over. Well, you show me this being... No, that's burden of proof reversal fallacy. And so it goes on and on and on with Rumpus. Just tired of it. Why isn't he being held accountable? I'm going to start holding these twats accountable. They're lying to the audience. They're lying to you. If you're listening to this, he's telling something's real that isn't real. Something that's conceptual, made up in the mind, described and detailed as being pseudo, fake, sham. He's saying that's real. He's telling you sham is real. He's a con artist. These people should be held accountable as far as I'm concerned. They're lying.
Are you sure Rumpus doesn't just genuinely believe it? Because he made himself believe it?
Well, if he's so ignorant to not appreciate that mathematics is abstractions, then, you know, he shouldn't even be in this arena. But I don't think he is that dumb. He's demonstrated that he's a capable double speaker, that he's a fundy obfuscator, that he is by name and in person the Rumpus. Well, that type of person is here to achieve an end. Rumpusing. Obfuscation. But it doesn't mean he's not educated in his doublespeak, and it doesn't mean he won't lie. He will.
Wasn't the original question how much time in a cubic meter?
Correct.
Okay, and then he, with the false equivalence, wants to make space-time real like electricity and air. Now, electricity, I've been shocked by electricity, so it's real. I felt it before. I don't need to see it. I felt it. Now, you got those things in the tubes that show like lightning and sparks. Okay, so maybe that's another way of seeing something that you feel. Okay, now air, scuba divers put air in the tank. They contained it so they could stay underwater. I got 1 hour of air in the tank. So Rumpus, how much time in a cubic meter? How much space time? You can't do it, can you, Rumpus?
Did you want to ask him? Because I don't think he's here.
No, I don't want to ask that idiot anything. It's obvious. He takes things that are real, that like air I feel, I breathe, I could contain in a tank, and says that's the same as space-time, which is a concept. Air is not a concept. This guy's an idiot.
Well, it's funny. I've always heard the ballers always default to the electric field. But see, the thing is, I can manipulate electric field. I can use a generator and some coils and create or disrupt electric field very easily. You know, you can heat up a magnet and remove its magnetic properties. Magnetic fields can be manipulated, but space-time can't be. Or if it was real, it should be able to be manipulated or shown, but it can't be.
But if you listen to what he said, he's conceding it. He says, "Well, I can't show you an electrical field either, right? Either that means you can't show us space-time. Okay,
Yeah.
we understand that. Just because you can't understand how an electric field is real as compared to your little space-time, but you just conceded that you can't find either. Well, that's just your bad,
Well, he can
not ours."
You know, he can.
If you listen back, as soon as Paul hits him with that question, he's got a little stutter, and he's taking it back, and then he gets into his little spiel there.
Just frustrates me because literally that is the entirety of the heliocentric Western world religion and how it's been indoctrinated into them. Take something which is not real, a model, and reify it. Make it into something physical and actual. And in this case, we've got something that's very specifically and rigorously defined with, as he puts it, 4 dimensions. Well, one of those dimensions is not real. So to confirm and reify his abstractions, his mathematical abstractions, he utilizes a non-existent 4th dimension when he's describing it. And that 4th dimension, which was conjured in the mind's eye of Einstein, is space-time, pseudo-Riemannian 4 space, length, breadth, depth, and time. Well, the reason it's called pseudo is because it is not real, it's fake. We don't have a 4th dimension. But that's what you, the person he's lying to, has got to conceptualize, a 4th dimension. Now, all of that is fine up until that point because you're just dealing in philosophy. The problem comes when, and I'm outraged by it, he outright lies and tells you that's real. No, it's not. This concept of a medium known as space-time isn't real. That's a fact. It's conceptual. So to lie to my audience, that needs somebody to hold that guy accountable for it.
But it must be real because it causes gravity.
Gravity's not a force. It doesn't cause anything. So no.
Real.
No, we've got fundy declarations. I've just talked about how we need to hold you accountable for your lie.
Like Rumpus.
It's not
really
real.
Real.
We don't. Don't chant at us.
Totally real.
That's chanting.
It's still true. It's like saying 1 plus 1 is equal to 2.
It's not true. That's what we've just pointed out, that you need to be held accountable for the fact that you're telling somebody a concept is real. It isn't.
It's not a concept, it's real.
It's conceptual. Pseudo.
No, it's not.
So it's not called pseudo-Riemannian 4 space.
Right, do you understand why he called...
Now you're asking me a question. I just asked him if it's pseudo, and now he's asking me something.
Well, obviously you don't...
I'm just stuttering like a little stuttering fundy who's going to lie to my audience. It's pseudo-Riemannian 4 space.
I'll explain it to you if you like.
Well, explain how pseudo's real? What does pseudo mean? It means fake. It means sham. It means not real.
Be quiet and I'll explain.
I'll do what I like. Right, piss off. Don't tell me how to run my show. I'll mute you, you prick. It's not real. I asked you what pseudo means and you launched into questions at me.
Right? I'll explain
to you
what
again.
pseudo-Riemannian space is.
Is pseudo real? Is
it's
pseudo real?
Yes!
Oh no! Somebody on the panel, please bring up the definition of pseudo, and we're going to go through how wrong Rumpus is. Because he's completely retarded. He's obviously just ignorant. I was wrong. He's not lying. He's stupid. He thinks pseudo means real. Can somebody on the panel please bring up the definition of pseudo so we can show my audience just how stupid this complete clown Rumpus is? Because pseudo definitely does not mean real. Not yes! No, Rumpus. Pseudo does not mean real. Thank you, Paul. Can you read it out for Rumpus? Oh, he's gone on server mute so that he can now play ignorance. It is definitely ignorance. Chosen ignorance for the benefit of the audience. He's choosing to remain ignorant when I've pointed out how wrong he is. He screamed at you a lie, an incorrect, a falsehood. So let's hear it, Paul. Does pseudo mean real? Rumpus says yes.
Let's see, let me get back over here. Pseudo means not genuine. I'm not sure to pronounce that word, or sham. It basically means a sham. I did look up another definition. I was going to bring this up too. It also means apparent. If I can find that, there's a synonym for it, for apparent, which is interesting. See if I
apparent.
can find that.
Apparent means not actual. That's what apparent means, not actual.
I got one here. A collection of beliefs or practices mistakenly regarded as being based on the scientific method.
Who is that read that out so I can credit you?
Sorry, that was just me. Sorry.
Who's me?
I have one that... I'm sorry.
Trizzy.
Can you read it once again for us, Trizzy? Again, just so we are...
It's a collection of beliefs or practices mistakenly regarded as being based on the scientific method.
Yeah, it's pseudoscience.
So
I have one that says intentional deception.
Say again, Neil.
Says one I'm reading from says intentional deception.
So
or
we've got
a combination thereof.
So we've got intentional deception, we've got belief, we've got sham. These things are definitely not real, and I am outraged when I pointed out that Rumpus is here to intentionally deceive people by telling them that something that is conceptual is real. And when I asked him if pseudo, the description of pseudo-Riemannian for space, that would be space-time, that would be Einsteinian fabrics of space-time, if that means real, is pseudo real? Rumpus says yes. The answer is no. It means deception, it means fraud, it means sham, it means fake. It does not mean real.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, is trigonometry a concept?
It's mathematical.
Yeah, is it a concept?
Yeah, it's abstractions, mathematical, yes.
Oh, okay. So I was just wondering that when Bev says that you can't have a curved horizon because of maths, is that reality, or can we still have a curved horizon?
Ask him, he's here. Go ahead, if he's here. Hopefully he is.
Yeah, I'm here. Wait,
yeah, it's just that when people are saying that concepts aren't real, just wondering if you think trigonometry is a concept in maths.
No, conceptual mediums. No? Things that
okay, so it's not concepts, but conceptual mediums. Okay, then.
Yeah,
but
but a mechanism is still a mechanism, you know? It's just a way to use things, right, that are perceived or measured or whatever, how it's going to be utilized. It's just a mechanism. That's different. As something that's conjured, a concept, a conceptual medium, for example.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah, so when you qualify something in terms of the width of a football field, well, what is the width? Is it the number of yardsticks? Is it the grass? Well, no, it's a concept you've used to qualify something in a measurement term. But that qualification of the width of it, you can't reify the width into an actual thing. Turn it into a medium, for example, like space-time. That's what's being done with this conceptual pseudo-Riemannian force space. They're conjuring a fourth dimension out of nothing, out of a mathematical construct. They're literally turning it into your world and telling you it's real.
Yep. Okay. I'm good.
I like that intentional deception one. That says it all right there.
You want to read it?
I've got the definition of concept on screen.
Go ahead, Paul.
Concept, an abstract idea or general notion. Let's see, an idea, notion, conception, abstraction, conceptualization, a theory. What else? Abstract. Hypothesis, postulation, belief, conviction, opinion, view, image, impression, or picture.
Correct. So a hypothesis is a conceptualization. Your ideas of what might cause something else that you've observed in nature. So the actualization of a hypothesis is an experiment. That's when you turn it from the abstract, the conventional, the conceptual, your ideas, your thoughts, your musings about what might cause a phenomena you've seen. When you actualize that hypothesis, you perform an experiment. You turn it into something physical. You physically manipulate that which you assumed by way of concept at a hypothesis stage. You physically manipulate it. So in the case of space-time, my question of is it real, if it's physical, can I see it, can I manipulate it? That's what being real is. So in the case of actualization, from taking it conceptually, hypothesis in this instance, into reality, is to perform an experiment on it and physically manipulate it. So we're going to need to physically manipulate it. And what do you know? We can't. Why would we give it a colour? Why would we qualify how much time there is in a cubic metre? Why would we give physicality to this fourth dimensional space-time in pseudo-Ramonian 4 space? Why would we do that? That's absurd. It's not real when I reify it into a fourth dimension and tell you that's your world. It's a fabric that's bending. That's an overt lie from religious zealots, globeheads. People who believe they're on a globe lie to you and tell you that concepts are real, and they're not.
Well, that's why my question was formulated the way it was. How does math cause things to speed up and slow down? It's a causal relationship. So it should be very simple to explain. Like the reason water boils is because I apply heat. That's why. It should be the same explanation. It should be something very simple, but it's not.
And if it's an assumed cause of something that you claim happens, let's say that they have time dilation as a claimed phenomena, my God. Well, then you need to be able to manipulate something physical. You need to vary and manipulate that which you assume caused that effect. To validate it, the effect and the cause are the hypothesis. That would be a concept, an assumption, a supposition. Actualization is doing it physically, and you need to physically manipulate something to do it. That's physics.
And if math is a conceptual medium, space-time is a mathematical concept, how do you manipulate something that's not physical?
You don't. That's the point. You don't. You can't. It's not real. You can't physically manipulate it. You can't touch it. You can't bend it. You can't do any of those things because it is not real. Now, while you were trying to point that out earlier, you know what we heard from the fundamentalist religious zealots on the panel? Oh, well, just rumpus. It's real, it's real, it's real, it's real. And when he was reintroduced to the conversation, the first thing he did was chant a lie that a conceptual medium's real. It isn't. What are you chuckling about, Chocolate? Hold on.
Real.
Chocolate's chuckling, and I want to know why.
Synonyms of pseudo are... Say that again, Nathan.
I'm clearing the air for you.
Oh, yeah, because he came back and instead of mute, it was real. Even though pseudo and synonyms of pseudo are bogus, sham, phony, imitation, artificial, mock, quasi, fake, feigned, pretended, false, faux, spurious, counterfeit, fraudulent, deceptive, misleading, assumed, contrived, affected, insincere, pretend, put on, fakey, which is hilarious, and cod. And you know what the opposite of it is? Genuine.
Definitely not real. Definitely not valid to scream through Paul, it's real. Because it absolutely is not real. Space-time is not real. Space is not real. Space-time is not real. Einstein's made the whole thing up. It's nonsense.
We should
He
start
said it was
asking them,
tested and
okay,
measured.
give me some of this height that you speak of.
Give me some height.
That you speak of.
give me height. Put it in a basket and hand it to me. Give me width. And what's that? You can measure the width of a building. Well, the building's physical and real.
I think that's it. Like, if you believe it, then it's not a lie. Kind of thing, you know. If you deep down believe it, then to you it's not a lie. And
kind of. You're describing understanding as opposed to belief. If you understand what they describe, then you can, through your cognition, reify it into your reality. Well, at that point, it stops being a belief in the mind's eye of the person that has the justification, especially if you're brainwashed from birth to accept it as real from the off anyway. To them, it just is reality.
Yeah, it's like I understand space-time, but I reject it because it's pseudoscience. It's garbage. It's in the bin. Doesn't mean I don't get it. I get it enough to realize that it's not real. It's pseudoscience.
It's like the multi-universe. Just you hear more say.
Yeah, the multiverse.
You can't prove it or you can't touch it. Like, just sort of theory in the mind.
But I enjoy sci-fi based off the multiverse. I can understand the multiverse. I'm just not going to run around Discord saying real, 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 real.
I can't enjoy science fiction anymore.
It'd be like I saw Avengers Endgame as my only proof of the multiverse. And if anyone challenges me on that, I'm just going to deflect to the person who challenged me on it and chant. That's a mental midget right there.
That's why flat Earth is so exciting, because it's like, what is the sun? How does everything work? Like, starting from scratch again.
It's exciting, but enraging at the same time when someone like Rumpus does that. Will literally scream at my audience that it's real. And then Chocolate, when he just read out that list of what pseudo means, he obfuscated my question, what does pseudo mean? This is pseudo force space that we're talking about. And then he obfuscated, and when we finally got to, is pseudo real? Yes! No. That's a bloody outrage. It's an outrage, Yeah, it's exciting, but the rest of the people watching and potentially all the rest of the Western world who will get that off a website in the same format, but without me to go, well, actually, no. Well, they're all being lied to.
That's it. Like, some people can challenge their beliefs and just withhold their belief without further evidence and all that, and then others just I got mates and friends who I give it to them. Look at this long distance measurement and all this, and they just can't look at it. They can't comprehend it.
Yeah, the brainwashing is good. But it does still, on occasions like today, annoy me when it's so overt. You'll literally claim pseudo is real. It's like all of the words like con and swindle. You think, well, when it's pointed out to you that somebody's conning you, and they tell you, and it's pointed out to them that, no, this is clearly a fraud, and they go, even in the face of you pointing out with all the evidence why it's a fraud, they go, no, my pyramid scheme's real. And you're like, I've just pointed out how it's a complete fraud in every detail. And they go, and while you're pointing it out again and reiterate it, they go, it's real, it's real, it's real, it's real, it's real.
Well, how many times did we get Zanuck to tell us that pseudo means fake, and then apparently just putting that word that means fake in front of a force, all of a sudden that makes it a force. It's like, what?
They're saying, he's
how
saying
does that
that's the
work?
reason why you can't.
Can I jump
force
in?
is strong with him.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that when I talk to Zanuck about the Coriolis effect, the apparent deviation. Well, if it's not, if the thing that's deviating is not experiencing centrifugal force, but you can calculate that it should be there, that's a pseudo force because it's not really there. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because the object has to encounter centrifugal forces for it to be. Cut myself off at the end.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Force-like effect. It's not a force.
Correct. Go ahead, Neil. Neil.
I was just gonna say like because they're calculating the effect, and because they can calculate it, then they're like tell you the cause, and I think they know the cause.
I mean, I asked the question to, I think, Kosho like a couple weeks ago. How does something moving in a straight line experience centrifugal force? How does it do that?
It can't.
It doesn't.
And we have another one.
It doesn't experience a centrifugal force if it's moving in a straight line.
What's up, Zanuck? What's going on, buddy?
What's going on, guys?
Zanuck, do you agree with Rumpus that pseudo means real?
You know, Rumpus came over today and told us that pseudo means real, right, Zanuck?
Pseudo does mean real.
Someone, chocolate. No, just because you said it, let's keep it. Guys, can you keep it concise? Can you read out the definition again, as he's just literally said? Pseudo means real. Can you just read out the synonyms and the description again for me, chocolate, if that's possible?
Me?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
No, you've just declared that pseudo means real. That's what you've just said. And to keep it concise, we're now going to read out what pseudo actually means, unlike what you fundamentalist religious zealot liars who convince the world we're on a sphere with deceit and concepts and conventions and reifications. You say pseudo means real. Now we're going to read out what chocolate is, what pseudo actually means. Go ahead, chocolate.
All right, Zanuck, pay attention. Pseudo, right? Definition: not genuine, spurious, or sham. I'll even give you the example. We are talking about real journalists and not the pseudo kind. End quote. Similar, which means synonyms of pseudo: bogus, sham, phony, imitation, artificial, mock, quasi, fake, feigned, pretended, false, faux, spurious, counterfeit, fraudulent, deceptive, misleading, assumed, contrived, affected, insincere, pretend, put on, fakey, and cod. And you know what the opposite word of pseudo is? Genuine.
Hi.
Over.
Can I ask you? Can I ask you where you got that definition from?
No, can we ask you why you've just told my audience that pseudo means real, same as rumpus, or to put it in a different way, why you're a lying piece of shit?
Are you going to let me speak?
No, I'm going to ask you again, rather than you asking me if you can speak as a response. Why are you lying and saying pseudo means real? It doesn't. It's just been read out to you. Don't ask us a question. Explain why you're lying to my audience.
Because pseudo force means a force without origin and is reference frame dependent. Let me make that very clear. I'll say it again if you'd like.
No, it says hypothetical, Zanuck.
No, it's not hypothetical at all.
It says hypothetical.
It's not hypothetical at all. It actually is a real term in real science and physics.
No, not real term. Pseudo's a real term. We've just read out the definition of what the term means. It does not mean real. You said it does. You're a liar.
No, I'm not a liar. I'm telling you the definition in the science context.
Oh, in scientific context. Pseudo means pseudo. Pseudo-Riemannian force space isn't science, however. It's a reification of an Einsteinian concept.
No, it's not a concept. It's actually...
Yeah, it is. It's conceptual. It's mathematical. It's definitely not real. So you just spewing your rhetoric that pseudo-Riemannian force space, meaning sham, fake, not real, bogus, fraud, those things don't make them real because you say they do. You're just a liar.
I can show you. I can show it to you.
Show me space time. Stop. Show me space-time.
I'm not talking about space. I'm talking about pseudo forces.
I'm talking about pseudo-Ramonian force space. That's what the argument's about. We're here talking about the reality that we're lied about. And in this example, it's pseudo-Ramonian force space. I made that absolutely clear. So while you might not want to talk about your bending concepts of space-time and pseudo-Ramonian force space, that's what we're debating about.
Right. And a centrifugal force is a pseudo force. And
not a centrifugal force. No, pseudo forces don't have centripetal or anything else. They are not forces. Don't make stuff up.
They're real forces.
No, they're not. Pseudo is not real. In the case of Coriolis effect, when you describe the not actual deviation that is the pseudo force of Coriolis, something's traveling in a straight line and you're seeing or perceiving it deviate. It's actually traveling straight, so there's no centrifugal force acting on it. It's traveling straight. Well, the force that's being described is pseudo because it's an apparent deviation, a curving. But it's not curving, it's pseudo, not actual curving, fake curving. Not real curving, fake curving. Sham curving, because it's traveling straight. Pseudo meaning not actual, not real, fake. Not real.
The force acting on an object.
Did he talk through every word of that? I'm just panel in Discord.
Why don't you let Nathan
panel
finish,
in Discord. Neil, did he talk through every single word I just said so he didn't have to answer anything?
Every single word. It's frustrating, Zanuck. Just let Nathan
Neil, hey,
finish.
stop it, Neil. I did not.
Fuck you, Zanuck. You're going to get kicked out now, you piece of shit. You piece of shit fundy bastard. I'm going to kick you out.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. He did talk through it.
He talked through every single word I said so that he didn't have to listen to it or address it, and then he can come up with a question that ignored my point. That's what they do. It's called the fundamentalist religious zealot globehead mute button, because their religion's dying, and I'm pointing out that when asked the real pseudo-Ramonian force space to be shown, he can't show it. It's not real. That's the point.
Can I show you something real quick, Nathan? He said something very relevant to this discussion. He said something that's reference frame dependent, right? He said that. Read my definition on screen, or I will. Frame of reference, a structure of concepts, values, customs, or views by means of which an individual or group of perceives or evaluates data, communication, ideas, or regulates behavior. So if a reference frame is how you view it, then if it's pseudo means if it's not a real force, but you're calculating it as a force, like a centrifugal force, like the apparent deviation of an object, that does not mean there's real forces involved. So pseudo does apply to pseudo force, even reference frame dependent, because it's a conceptual means of understanding something.
Precisely. Or to put it another way, not real, not deflecting, not a force. Pseudo, sham, fake. But these liars, because they've got fake mediums for space, need to tell you that they are real. They're just lying to you. It's becoming more and more obvious as time goes by. And with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to the Discord and G Plus panels for making this after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in the Nathan Oakley Premiering Stream audience for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!